and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that have been linked with a January transfer move to Arsenal. A couple of days in now to the January transfer window. Still nothing done, all right? Yeah, I mean, we've got to give it a bit of time, but we're all looking for that sign-in. And there's a couple of things we're being told over the last couple of days. Number one, Arsenal are definitely looking to go into the transfer market this January to secure a signing, which that would be good news, or two. And the other rumour that's been going around is that the injury to Saka, which we were told was probably going to keep him out for 2 months, could keep him out for longer. The fact that he's had to have surgery on that hamstring, the rehabilitation for that, a lot of the experts saying that he may not return until April. And when you think that the season is over in May, I mean, it really does show that Arsenal do need to bring in some sort of reinforcements in this January transfer window. Remember, we're fighting on all fronts in all competitions at the moment. And there is a hell of a lot of games. If you watch our Invincible podcast that we did yesterday, take a look at that. We really break down the amount of games coming up in January alone. So Arsenal really could do with reinforcements. Now, one of the players that have been spoken about a lot, still being spoken about a lot for Arsenal, is Kolo Muani of PSG. The 26-year-old being heavily linked still with a move to Arsenal. He's been offered out by PSG. Everybody knows that. There's several clubs in the Premier League looking at him, and Arsenal are one of those. He's available on a loan move. Arsenal don't want to do an obligation to buy, and PSG may be open to that. They just want to get him off their books right now until the end of the season. He's up for a move to the Premier League as well. Could this be a move that Arsenal make? Centre forward, remember, but also versatile enough to play in various positions across that front three. Could this be a move that Arsenal make before the end of the January transfer window? Surely, if Arsenal are going to make this type of move, get it done early as well. But this is one that is still being pushed out there today. Another sort of new names came into the fold today, and that is the name of Santiago Gimenez of Feyenoord. Now, if you'd have watched Transfer Daily throughout the summer, you would have heard his name mentioned many a time by me here on the show. Mexican international, centre forward who plays for Feyenoord, has been scoring goals for them on a regular basis now over the past couple of seasons. Now, a lot of clubs in the Premier League are currently looking at him, but according to the Mexican journalist Julio Rodriguez, he claimed that Arsenal and AC Milan, two clubs that are very, very interested in his signature. As I said, for the past few years, I've really been doing it over there in the Dutch Eredivisie, right? He's been banging in the goals for Feyenoord. Not been as prolific this season, but still 6 goals in 9 appearances. 2 other clubs in the Premier League looking at him, Fulham and also Nottingham Forest, high-flying Nottingham Forest, valued at around about £35 million, although Feyenoord might seek more. Any club right now that's got a striker on their books knows that strikers are worth gold right now. So interesting to see how that one could develop. I'm not sure. As I said, we're heavily linked with him throughout the summer. We didn't really make any moves for him, but let's see. This one, though, was one that in the summer we were definitely interested in doing. We definitely wanted to do, didn't in the end, because the player decided to stay at his club, and that is Nico Williams of Athletic Bilbao. Now, according to Football Transfers, they're claiming that Arsenal are ready to move in for him again and meet his £48 million release clause to try and get him away from Atletico Bilbao, try and test their resolve to see if they are willing to take the money or to let the player go. Now, it hasn't been a golden season for him. Only 1 goal and 3 assists so far in 17 appearances for Nico Williams since he's been at Athletic Bilbao this season. But we all remember how good he was in the Euros. Scored in the final, was absolutely brilliant. That, combination of him and Yamal. And we knew that Arsenal, he was basically their number 1 target in the summer, but they were unable to get him because he didn't want to leave Athletic Bilbao. He wanted to stay at them for another season. Barcelona were another club at the time that were really, really pushing to get the job done and for him to come to Barcelona. They wanted to team him up with Yamal, but he decided that he did not want to leave Athletic Bilbao, his boyhood club. He wanted to stay there, and he stayed. But could an offer to meet this release clause, as I said, test the resolve of Athletic Bilbao, test the resolve of the player as well, for him to maybe say to himself, you know what, the time is right, let me move. Arsenal have got the money to do it if they want to get this done this January transfer window. Not a right winger, left winger, but you can play on the right wing as well. But will Arsenal make a move for him this January transfer window? I think you can count Barcelona right out of this. And this could be a reason that maybe Arsenal might think, let's try and make a move now, because in the summer, no doubt Barcelona will try and move on a couple of players and try and come back in for Nico Williams. But at the moment, they can't even sign Dani Olmo, right? Is a player that they signed at the start of the season. At the start of the season, they can't even register him, should I say. At the moment, they're struggling to do that, let alone go and meet a release clause for Nico Williams. So this could be a good time for Arsenal to pounce. Let's keep an eye on that situation throughout the January transfer window. I think it's going to come down to the player. Does he still want to stay, show loyalty to his boyhood club now until the end of the season? Let's see how that one works out. Another player from Spanish football that is being linked with Arsenal is Takefusa Kubo, the Japanese international who plays for Real Sociedad. Now, a very, very talented player, can play right across the front three, but predominantly plays on either wing, right wing or left wing, predominantly right wing. Talented player, quick, skillful, and it's got, last season 7 goals and 4 assists, 3 goals so far this season. Arsenal were interested in him last season, not really at the top of their list, but they're having a look at him now, especially with the injury to Bukayo Saka, valued at around about £35 million, probably more. We know how difficult it is to get away players during the January transfer window, but would Real Sociedad be prepared to sell him mid-season? The player himself is said to be interested in a move to the Premier League. Japanese expert Marco Moller is saying that Arsenal are interested in signing him this January transfer window. So this could be one of those ones that just comes out of the blue. But let's keep an eye on that one. Takefusa Kubo, the Japanese international, interest in Arsenal this January transfer window. Talking a lot about players coming in, but what about players leaving? Jakub Kiwior, again, is a player that is being, talked about as being wanted by a whole host of clubs. We know there's lots of interest in Italy. Juventus are one of those clubs that would like to take the 24-year-old. But there's also claims that Marseille, who are managed by Roberto De Zerbi, they're interested in signing him as well. They're having a good season over there in France and are interested in bringing him in a defensive position. Could Arsenal cash in on him? He's been actually quite important for Arsenal so far this season, with Arsenal suffering so many injuries in defence. I mean, at the start of the season, there was a lot of talk that he was going to be moved on before the end of the summer transfer window. He ended up staying, has played quite a few games, covering for Gabriel when he's been out, covering for Calafiori. He's been quite important as a sort of covering centre-back. But with a lot of players starting to come back, Calafiori's back, Gabriel's, been back for a few weeks. Could Tomiyasu come back? Could Arsenal look on it and say to themselves, should we cash in on him right now with so many clubs after him? Or do they say, no, we're not going to risk it? There's so many games coming up that Kiwior could be required. Going to be interesting to see what happens with Jakub Kiwior. Will he still be an Arsenal player come the end of the January transfer window on the 3rd of February? So those are the rumours for today. Don't forget to check out all of our excellent content that we've got coming out. As I said, we did an Invincible podcast yesterday where we took a look at the fixtures coming up for Arsenal in January. The amount of fixtures we got alone in January: FA Cup, League Cup, 2 legs, Champions League games 2, and loads of Premier League games, I'm not too sure if the current squad is going to be enough to cope with all those games and still be in a good shape come the end of that January period. So a transfer and an early transfer may be very, very important for Arsenal. So we'll keep you up to date with all of them right here on the show. Thanks for watching the show, and I'll see you tomorrow.